Hi everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Um, Very busy day for me because they the church where the event I'm supposed to be doing, or I'm going to be doing on Thursday in Toronto, has canceled the venue out of under pressure from Zionist organizations. So spent multiple hours dealing with this issue, which I'll get to more in a little bit. Um, Le Devoir has a story. This is a Canadian Foreign Policy Hour, critical look at Canada's role abroad weekly. There will be no episode next Monday because I'll be on tour, and things are getting very, very busy. Um, so Le Devoir has a story about Carney. Basically, his climate policies are ensuring that we're not going to hit the climate goals for 2030. No surprise. In fact, he's going in the wrong direction with LNG projects, and tar sands are at their highest level ever. So Carney is definitely makes you want to the good old days of Justin Trudeau. Um, uh, the This was the 52nd anniversary of the coup in Chile, which Canada, of course, supported despite little disgust against Salvador Allende, Augusto Pinochet's coup. Uh, Owen Schock has a piece on Venezuela on Canadian Dimension. Mark Carney's silence on Venezuela reveals complicity. Of course, Canada played an important role in the bid to oust Maduro, and now is basically staying silent as the Trump administration is ratcheting up its efforts to destabilize the Venezuelan government with of course shooting the boat there and a whole bunch of other militaristic measures that they've pursued. Canadian Dimension, on a different note, Canadian Dimension has this piece about Cameroon, I believe it's about Cameroon. And in it, they say Canada's foreign policy ideals, dignity, inclusion, and survivor centered justice risk falling short when measured up only by outputs. I don't know why it would get through a Canadian Dimension that kind of mythologizing about the supposed Canadian foreign policy ideals of dignity, inclusion, and survivor-centered justice. But that the mythology is strong, and there's still lots of people who write about Canadian foreign policy in left outlets that engage in some of that myth making. There's a there's a piece in the Maple. Jeremy Appel has a good piece about the Chris Alexander and the whole smear against David Puglisi, the the Ottawa Citizen reporter who they Chris Alexander claimed was a KGB agent going back 30 years ago. Anyways, it basically the title of the piece is ex-MP used forged docs to accuse reporter of being KGB asset. And so they basically prove that these were forged documents. There's uh, there's a video I saw from Charlie Angus, who is the Resistance former NDP MP, and he's this on the campaign, the Resistance. And honestly, he totally accepts all the premises around Ukraine. He celebrates Canada extending its mission in Latvia. He celebrates Carney going to Kyiv. He celebrates $2 billion more in arms to Kyiv. Totally, not just like passively accepting of the NATO proxy war, but really a staunch advocate. And honestly, watching this, like there's a couple bits, he goes into the Iron Dome, the Golden Dome, and criticizes that. But the accepting of the premises of without, and I should say, without any of the information that puts question marks on it, i.e., Canada's role in extending NATO eastward, Canada's role in destabilizing, overthrowing Yanukovych, Canada's role in Operation Unifier, on and on and on. That's just not part of his discourse. So it's just this one-sided Russia is just all bad. Russia is just belligerent, and the West is just there to support the Ukrainians. And like the whole geopolitical context is just erased in Charlie Angus's is and what he's doing, even while saying he's against the Golden Dome, he is basically legitimizing the massive increase in Canadian military spending. It is absolutely remarkable that at 2025, at this point, if somebody out there has any contact with Charles, I want to have a debate with him. I want to have this discussion because this is the narrowness, the tunnel vision is absolutely remarkable, and he is legitimating this huge increase in military spending that he would himself, at least, I think, sort of say he's against. Uh, on that note, there's a Le Devoir piece about Quebec, Investment Quebec, going and trying to get s'en va chasser des contrats en défense à Londres, going to search for or chase for contracts in military contracts in England, in London. Uh, and this is just more of that. I mean, I've reported on this. There's just like endless streams of all the different arms from the federal government, provincial governments, the banks. They're all, as part of this militarist turn, they're all adding to their role in arms production and searching out contracts and stuff like that. Now, there is, I think, a good thing on the front. Well, watching Charlie Angus's piece, I cringe, really, I cringe. I'm just this guy is so out to lunch and so dogmatic, quite frankly, dogmatic in his narrowness on the issue. Um, and but counter to that is there are a whole bunch of signs, seeing more and more signs of pushback to the military spending. There's very little pushback geopolitically in terms of the justifications for the military spending, but there is increasing pushback from different sources to the military spending as a threat to social programs. So, for instance, the Council of Canadians, I just saw something. It's uh, fighter jets or pharmacare, I think it was the image. They just did an image and action alert on that. Alexandre Boulris, the NDP MP here in Montreal, the only one in Quebec, he has an email to his list, and four of the points um, that he criticizes Carney for, two of the 4 points are F-35 and Golden Dome. So he's taking up kind of anti-militarist positions. And I've seen a whole bunch of other similar examples of social democratic kind of groups finally getting on board for challenging this radical militarist turn that Carney has suggested. The Independent, which I believe is like a Newfoundland paper, I think Newfoundland, maybe not, independent.ca. It has a piece about with emergency rooms overflowing and public services crumbling under the weight of austerity, the federal government has unveiled a $150 billion plan, not for hospitals, but for military arms, and goes through that. So I think that we're seeing, and the Draw the Line protests coming up this weekend, or next weekend, Saturday, September 20th, across the country, those have the anti-militarist message as part of them. So this is a very good sign. It's obviously too slow. It needs to be, more bold. They need to challenge. They don't need to just challenge military spending, but also challenge the geopolitical lies that are justifying the military spending. That's not to say you don't have to say that Putin is good to say that Canada helped provoke the war. It's unequivocal. Canada helped provoke the war. I mean, come on. It's just the evidence is just so overwhelming. So we need to push further on that, and I definitely the Draw the Line protest. I'm going to participate in. I'll be in Niagara. I'll participate in that one, and people should across the country. Um, Switching to the horrors of the lawless terror. I don't even know. Should we call it a lawless? Could I call it a terror state? Even does it even deserve to be referred to as a state? I mean, what Israel is doing is just absolutely bananas. The they attacked 6 countries in 72 hours this week, right? The flotilla in Tunisia, Qatar. obviously Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. What they did in Yemen, they apparently killed 45 journalists. You get almost no attention. If you don't read antiwar.com, it basically no attention. Uh, Dozens, I think 35 is the minimum. Somewhere I saw different numbers, 35 to 45 journalists killed in Yemen. It's just unbelievable. They attack against Qatar. I mean, if you are a leader of Saudi Arabia, whatever. I mean, the most pro-American uh, kingdoms, they have to be scared of this completely out of control country that is just has no respect for any of the most basics of international law or the like. And yet here in Canada, it just continues, right? So this week, Ben Mulroney was selected to be the 1 year long interim anchor taking over for Mercedes Stevenson, I believe is her name, who was the anchor of Global News's big political affairs show, The West Block. So Ben Mulroney is just he's an ambassador for B'nai B'rith. He's a formal ambassador for B'nai B'rith. He's an absolutely a fanatic Zionist, and he gets who speaks at all these different pro-genocide events, and he gets appointed as the person who's going to be in charge, anchor the most important. Global News is one of their most important, or maybe their most important political affairs show. It doesn't matter what Israel does, and its allies in Canada are continue to be respectable. On the more left end of this, there's a remarkable statement from Judy Rebick on Facebook. Judy Rebick, of course, is this leftist, long-standing, used to be CBC, kind of, pro-Palestinian activist, commentator, whatever. And she has this post. I'll read the whole thing because it's quite remarkable. If you know anything about the person she's referring to, she says, listening to Marsha Letterman on The Current, it's worth listening to it if you're willing to listen. I think that liberal Zionists who still believe in the idea of a Jewish state but oppose the genocide in Gaza can be allies in stopping Canada from continuing to arm Israel. Just writing them off because they don't want to use the word genocide or because they still believe in an idea they grew up with makes no sense to me. And I think it is hurting the pro-Palestinian movement, hurting the pro-Palestinian movement. Letterman is thoughtful and struggling with her position and her views. I did not listen to this Marsha Letterman's piece or interview on the CBC. A friend of mine in Thunder Bay did, and she posted something which I reposted on Facebook, where basically she says it's this is like genocide denial. It's all structured through the lens of like Letterman, like concerned about her history of family members in the Nazi Holocaust, and kind of equivocating. Now I feel bad at what's going on in Israel, and basically it's terrible. It's terrible. Now I haven't listened to it, but what I do know, and it's unbelievable that Judy Rebick would be attacking the Palestine Solidarity Movement for not bringing Letterman in the fold. Letterman, for 2 years in the Globe and Mail, has been publishing genocidal apologia. Aggressively so. I would say no less than a dozen, possibly dozens of her columns, 2 dozen of her columns have been in one way or another justifying what Israel's doing. Additionally, Letterman, which I had just seen just before I saw this thing from Judy Rebick a few days before, she is speaking at an event here in Montreal, I think on Wednesday, sponsored by the Federation, i.e., the biggest genocide organization in Montreal. And when I punched her name in and federations, I found that she spoke at Vancouver Federation event, Edmonton, I believe. So this is somebody who has not just been using her platform in the Globe and Mail to justify, and it does it with a liberal tint. Don't get me wrong. She does it like she's not a frothing at the mouth National Post columnist, but she is clearly justifying the genocide, and doesn't want to use the word genocide, even though all the experts have come to that conclusion. And here you have, and continues to do events with the most prominent genocide advocacy organizations in the country. And here you have someone saying, oh, why doesn't the Palestine Solidarity Movement bring Letterman into the fold? Why do you complain that she doesn't want to use the word genocide? She's having trouble. She's having emotional issues on the final solution taking place in Gaza. And oh, the really hostile Palestine Solidarity Movement doesn't want to let Letterman doesn't want to bring Letterman in, makes her feel uncomfortable about joining. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning. We see a lot of this kind of stuff, but it continues, unfortunately. Uh, the the Samidoun file, you have uh, Melanie Jolie post about how Samidoun is still a registered not-for-profit organization. And under pressure from different Zionist commentators, she's posting this. They were, of course, listed as a terrorist organization back in October, and now, some weird reason, the structure of Canada's not-for-profit listing doesn't go in symbiosis with the terrorism list, or they're still a not-for-profit. It's basically irrelevant. They've made the organization essentially illegal, and so, but the Zionists are trying to milk all they can out of this issue, and they've been pushing on it. Now, also, what we're seeing this week, the CBC report that they are going to table legislation. Sean Fraser, Justice Minister, is going to table bubble zone legislation right away. But it's also going to include a number of things in this new legislation that gives the police more power to basically target effectively here Palestine solidarity as hate crime related. And it seems like they're moving forward with some of this business of strengthening the terrorism list to criminalize uh, um, symbols of listed terrorist organizations. So the Samidoun Palestinian Political Prisoners Network T-shirt could potentially find you. You could potentially go to jail for that. It's not exactly clear from the report if that's going to be in the legislation, but that seems to be some of where they're going. And here again, this is 2 years into the live stream Holocaust, and they're on the offensive, and more repressive measures coming. Now, conversely, there's a Leger, no, sorry, Angus Reid poll, another one. It's a growing list of them saying 37 to 19% Canadians sympathize with Palestinians rather than Israelis. So it is growing. But and there's a lot of polls showing that despite the hostile media climate, the public is increasingly sympathetic to Palestinians and hostile towards Israel. But it's obviously too slow. Now, finally, just to conclude with what I started with, this tour starting on Thursday in Toronto, and then I'm going about 10 cities. It looks like we might be adding Thunder Bay and Sudbury on the other end. And it's Niagara, Waterloo, Vancouver, Duncan, Nanaimo, Victoria, Winnipeg, back in Vancouver. You can check it out on my site, or there's a Facebook of it. And but this launch in Toronto, which we've been really hyping up for a long time, there's thousands of leaflets and posters in Toronto about it. Today, after I saw it on Saturday, I think it was on Friday, probably posted. I think it's the head of the Canadian Anti-Semitism Education Foundation posted to the church, the St. Paul's Church, saying that the that I was doing this event, and basically it's basically saying I'm an anti-Semite. The event, of course, if people didn't know, it has Mike Pelechek, the former president of CUPW, Rabbi Mivaser, Sarah Razik are all speaking. So it's a bit of an awkward one for them to try to shut down, but they have. The St. Paul's has cowered to this Zionist lobby group, and the email. It's weird. The way became public is they actually seem to respond. They're saying they made a mistake, and they included this Zionist group on the response, and then the Leviathan account is the first one that put it public. So we have the email trace where they seem to be responding to some sort of pressure from a pro-Israel group. The name is blanked out. They're claiming it's just a mistake. We shouldn't have political events at our church space. That's our policy. Which I responded by saying, well, okay, so maybe that's the case, and maybe there's an error. We didn't lie about anything. We've been totally upfront. We've been handing out thousands of leaflets. When I was in Toronto on Labor Day, we were handing out leaflets for the event. It's not like it says NDP in the message about booking the room. And so maybe you made a mistake and maybe we should never book there again. But if you made the mistake, why are we going to be punished by you canceling 3 days before? We can't. There's nothing we can do. We can't get out of this event. We can't have the event anywhere else. I mean, potentially maybe somewhere really close by, but people will just show up even if we tried to cancel it. So we are going forward. We are going to be having it either inside if they reverse course or outside. We have the sound system and we are going to be coming public. It's absolutely stunning that 2 years into this live stream Holocaust, there's still churches that would claim Anglican Church would claim it believes in social justice that will cower in the face of this kind of pressure campaign. But this is where we are. I think I'll leave it at that, and I'll make Laura a co-host. We have about 5 minutes to if there's any comments or questions. And I should say, there's some positive news. We're very successful with fundraising for the campaign.
Nadia,
Go ahead.
please.
Yes, thank you, Eve. I admire your courage. I don't know if you saw it, just an hour ago, Max Blumenthal, in an interview with Chris Hedges, said that Israel might possibly be involved in the killing of Charlie Kirk because he's funded. He became very, very famous because he was initially funded by by Israeli groups, and when he began to turn against them, they wanted him out. I don't know if nobody's sure if they actually did the killing, but they might be involved somehow. I don't know if you've seen that. I've seen also another interview with Laskaris, Dimitri Laskaris, who's actually saying also the same thing. And now Blumenthal has written an article about it. You may be interested in looking at it. So what do you think? I'm terribly, terribly depressed.
I don't know. I don't know much. I didn't even know who he was. I had seen videos of him, Kirk, before. I didn't even know who he was before his killing.
Yeah, all of us. Yeah.
But I have to be honest. I'm pretty skeptical of that. It doesn't really make that much sense to me on the surface of it.
Well, it does, because they're censoring anybody who is right now. They're scared to death. Israel is scared to death because, as you say, people are all over the world are turning against them. So they can't pretend to be the victim again when they're the aggressor. So Netanyahu is going crazy, just as you said before, and I wouldn't put it past him to do a thing like that.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Catherine.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to say a little bit about the Davis Cup here that was in Geopolitical, Halifax. And there was fantastic protests. They actually got covered on the CBC News. We went down to the one on Saturday, and there was a protest at the same time. One of the stop mass migration, immigration, and start mass deportations. And the people were counter protesting and went from the Davis Cup protest to that as well. And of course, there's all kinds of smearing going on, and now some synagogues have been graffitied with swastika and something saying Jews did 9/11, and now the news is putting on something that the police, a picture of some graffiti artist that they're saying they think did the graffiti, and and they keep reporting that this graffiti was done, right after these 2 days of protests about the Davis Cup. So it's very disturbing.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw some of this stuff. I don't know the details. I think I actually meant to mention the success of the Davis Cup protest. It was obviously not a complete success in that it went forward, but the shutting down of the venue and stuff like that. So that's another, something that we should take um, excitement from. But yeah, I saw that there's this sort of smear thing going on, but trying to associate the anti-Semitic graffiti with that, but I didn't know much more than that.
Okay, John, we'll let you ask the last question. Can you unmute, please?
It took me a while to find the button. Yeah, according to Gemini, I put this in the chat. I just asked about that gray zone piece. That's fabricated because, as I just asked now, and according to Gemini, Charlie Kirk is still alive and well. It's just- the bigger point I'm trying to make is that with such a high-profile assassination, no news is to be trusted as the first draft of history in the first week or two. People are enthusiastic to get posts in. I suspect at the end of the day, the truth will be messy and not completely supportive of anybody's particular agenda, because people that do this kind of shit have problems, and it's unlikely that there's going to be a clear motivation that fits anybody's agenda. So
I
remains
will
to be
say it
seen.
was embarrassing as a Canadian seeing the Canadian Parliament give him a standing ovation
Oh, yeah.
today. Oh,
We have
wow.
to get past, as a society, the idea that somehow death absolves you of sins. You can feel sorry for the tragedy and for his kids, but he deserves no empathy.
Yeah.
And I think there was a Manitoba NDP MLA who posted basically on this, says he was a misogynist, a racist, and egotistical, and was forced to walk it back because God knows you can't tell the truth about about right-wing extremists who've died, because all the right-wing snowflakes will then come out and say, "Oh, you're a bad person." Give me a break.
Okay, thanks, John. I think we can let you go, Eve, as you've got your group now.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Eve.
I
Thanks,
don't have the
everyone.
link for the volunteer call, Eve.
It should be this. I think it's the same link as this. I think they just
Oh,
take
okay.
it from here, I believe.
It is
But
there.
is that the correct, Bianca? Is it the same link?
Same link as always.
Yeah, it's the same link as always. I think it's just this link. It becomes that, but I think.
Really? You sure? Because I tried it once and it
But
didn't
not
work.
this link.
Yeah, I tried that last time. It didn't work.
There's registration where
There's
you
a-
go and they register.
There's a registration where you register. Where would the simplest place be?
It's on the website, on events. It's general.
Okay, I'll find it.
On the website events general meeting, I believe.
Okay.
So
Okay.
apologies.
But I
Yeah.
can send it to you.
No, that's on me. Thank you, Z. Thank you, Eve. Have a great tour.
Yeah.